Well, good morning. It's now 9 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with the top stories. We've got your full forecast coming up in just 5 minutes. In New York today, this is the start of the manslaughter trial for Daniel Penny. He's the Marine veteran who put a man who was threatening others on a subway train into a chokehold.
Prosecutors say Neely was no longer a threat after 3 minutes. He stopped moving after 5. Neely had a history of mental illness. Police say he was acting erratically and making threats on the train, but was unarmed and never physically violent. Prosecutors concede Neely may have seemed scary, but they're out to convince the jury Penny held him down too long. The defense says Neely was insanely threatening, and Penny took action to protect the lives of others. The case sparked protests about racial dynamics, subway safety, and mental health.
That's ABC's Aaron Katursky. Metro Nashville police are now investigating the shooting at an Edge Hill apartment complex early yesterday morning as a case of self-defense. 2 men were taken to Vanderbilt University Medical Center with non-life-threatening injuries. 2 women have been arrested for stealing clothing at several stores. They were arrested at the Ross Dress for Less on West Main in Lebanon after somebody called police about shoplifters there. The women were found to have a tool for removing security tags. They were charged with stealing from several other stores in Hermitage and Mount Juliet areas as well. The jobs report for October came in much weaker than expected this morning.
Just 12,000 jobs were created in the month of October. That's below where expectations were. And there were really 3 major events that put a dent in the numbers. First of all, Hurricanes Helene and Milton, and then the strike at Boeing. Manufacturing jobs, for example, those fell by 46,000 in the month of October.
And digging deeper into the numbers, we find the Labor Department revised sharply downward the last 2 months as well, trimming 112,000 jobs in total. Well, the market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. That weak October jobs report isn't phasing investors at all. The Dow Jones Industrial is currently up 305. The Nasdaq is gaining 192, and the S&P 500 index is up 45 points. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
You know, I'm not sure how this happened, but it is November 1st. Unreal. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Anybody else look at the date today and go, what? When did that happen?
Yeah, I thought it was still summer.
You know, we're setting the clocks back this weekend.
Holy cow.
It's fall back time.
You know what? I need that extra hour. I need that extra hour.
Dude, me and you both.
It's just working a lot. Just a nice little extra add to the weekend. I'll take it.
I'm actually very excited about the extra hour. I do a lot of stuff with Turning Point, and they're in Arizona. And they don't do daylight savings time in Arizona.
Do they not?
No. So for half of the year, they're 2 hours behind us. And then the other half of the year, they're only an hour behind.
Interesting.
But it's such a pain in the butt when you're trying to get kids to bed and it's 5 o'clock in Arizona. It's like, oh, all right.
Guess I'm on phone calls all night.
Yeah. Like, oh, all right. No, I'm looking forward to it, man. Let's get into it. We got an election 4 days away. Are you big hype? I'm big hype. It seems like the Biden administration and Kamala Harris can do nothing but step in it lately. You know, from the garbage comments to now another surrogate out there in the news. Mark Cuban, it's just yikes after yikes after yikes for Kamala Harris and her campaign. Real quick, though, the garbage comments, there's a lot of heat. There's a lot of heat behind the scenes on the garbage comments. And it comes from the official stenographer. You know, the person that types everything up. The White House press officials altered the official transcript of that call in which Biden called Trump supporters garbage. And according to a transcript prepared by official White House stenographers, they had it correct. No apostrophe. Yet the White House actually asked them to change it, which is like, it's a big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. And it's a massive scandal. See, normally what you do is you ask them to withhold it, but they asked them to edit it. And that's the issue that we have here and the issue they find themselves in today.
Well, look, this is a massive scandal, Sean. Intervening to try to change the White House transcript to cover up the fact that Joe Biden called 150 million Americans garbage.
I mean, you could make the argument it's more than 150 million Americans. That's Stephen Miller, former senior advisor to President Trump, on Sean Hannity last night. This is a massive scandal.
Let's be clear. Kamala owns that remark 100%. Because it was Kamala who put out the order, whose campaign issued the directive to launch a full-scale smear and defamation machine against every single American citizen who isn't voting for her. Just think about this. They sent out Obama to attack black men for not supporting her, calling them bigots. They sent out Tim Walz to call every single American who doesn't back Kamala a Nazi, a mass murderer. And then, of course, we have Kamala calling everyone in sight a racist, a bigot, a fascist. This is a case in which Joe Biden, addled though he may be, was following the instructions of Kamala Harris. She owns this completely and totally. Her campaign is a hate campaign. It's a campaign of vilification and a campaign of personal destruction, and Americans will reject it overwhelmingly. Not to mention, of course, Mark Cuban, again, on Kamala's orders, slandering every single woman in America who supports Donald Trump. These people are stone-cold haters.
Yeah, they are. And it's fun to watch the closing arguments become, hey, by the way, your side is evil and racist and garbage. And actually, Trump doesn't even have any intelligent women around him. That's the comments from Mark Cuban that Stephen Miller was talking about there. It blows my mind. It blows my mind, these comments from Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban went on The View yesterday and insulted women everywhere. Everywhere. This is what he said on The View. He gets up there and with a straight face, he says,
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
It's that simple, he says. You never see him around strong, intelligent women ever. Period. Sorry, Kayleigh McEnany. Sorry, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Sorry, Tulsi Gabbard. You guys don't count. What are they thinking? Is Is this a smart strategy? Is it a smart strategy? Donald Trump responded to this, and he wasn't holding back. He posted on Twitter, Mark Cuban, a really dumb guy who thinks he's hot stuff, but he's absolutely nothing, is now out there saying that I don't surround myself with strong women. Actually, he's very wrong. I surround myself with the strongest of women. You can, I don't know about you. I read these tweets and I can just hear it in Trump's voice, which is actually wrong. I surround myself with the strongest of women. He said, with the understanding that all women are great, whether strong or not, which I think is just a brilliant line. All women are great, whether strong or not. This guy is such a fool, Trump goes on to write. He's constantly on television being critical, and only for the reason that I tuned him out completely while president because he called incessantly. I told him very pointedly, look, Mark, I've got a lot of things to do. I just can't be taking so many pointless calls from you. In any event, that affected him greatly because he's a very insecure guy. And, in all caps, a major loser. Always has been, always will be. Nobody likes him. Nobody respects him. He's unattractive, both inside and out. He should go back to talk about the person he was forced to support because I don't want it, lying Kamala Harris. Also, he's got no clubhead speed, which if you play golf, as many people reacting to this statement from Donald Trump do, that may have been the biggest insult in the entire statement. Also, he's got no clubhead speed. He closes with this paragraph. I may, in fact, be surrounded by the strongest women in the world, including the heads of countries who make Mark look like a baby. All strong women and women in general should be very angry about this weak man's statement. I can't believe that he went out there and said this.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. You never see him around strong, intelligent women. It's made a lot of women pissed off, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Why wouldn't you be pissed off? Especially if you've worked with the president, as some of these women have. Sarah Huckabee Sanders took to Twitter and made her feelings known.
Mark Cuban just said there are no strong, intelligent women around President Trump. It's a disgusting lie. And it's pretty funny coming from Democrats who can't even tell you what a woman is.
Burn. You know the kids say at school? I've learned this from my kids. If one of the girls burns one of the guys, they say, burned by a girl. So when I heard that, and she goes, Mark Cuban doesn't even know, Democrats don't even know what a woman is, my first thought was, burned by a girl.
Pretty funny coming from Democrats who can't even tell you what a woman is. I worked for President Trump for 2.5 years. Democrats tried to tear me down. President Trump empowered me and every other woman in America. My name is Sarah Sanders, and I'm proud to join the millions of smart, intelligent women who will stand with Donald Trump this Tuesday.
It's a terrible error to make. Days separated from Biden calling all of us garbage. Now we have Mark Cuban insulting all of the women that have ever been around or near the orbit of President Trump. What an idiot. What an absolute idiot. And it's not just Sarah Huckabee Sanders getting in there. It's not just Donald Trump with his statement. You got ladies like Riley Gaines out there.
All right, let's just unpack this really quick. Just in the past week alone, Trump supporters have been called Nazis by virtually every media outlet.
Yep.
We have been called garbage by the sitting United States president. And now Mark Cuban has come out and said there is no such thing as a strong, intelligent female supporter of Donald Trump because they don't exist. Respectfully, Mark Cuban, you would not know a strong, intelligent female if she slapped you across the face, which you're such a beta, you might actually kind of like that. So if you are a healthcare provider, if you are a school teacher, if you are a U.S. military member and you are a woman and a Trump supporter, then to Mark Cuban, you are stupid and weak. If this woman right here, Tulsi Gabbard, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army, if this is not a strong, intelligent woman, then what is? Actually, I already know Mark Cuban's answer. This is who Mark Cuban believes to be a strong, intelligent woman.
She used air quotes on women because it's a picture of Rachel Levine. Rachel Levine. That's a strong, smart woman right there. Tell you what, you could fit a lot of IQ points in this one.
Although we really shouldn't be too surprised that a comment like this would come out of Mark Cuban's mouth, considering that he says border czar Harris has done a good job at the southern border, which maybe we just have different ideas of what constitutes as a good job. But to me, the illegal entrance of 13,000 murderers, 16,000 rapists, and the 320,000 missing children certainly doesn't fit the bill. It doesn't seem like continually disparaging more than half the country less than a week before Election Day is an effective strategy to get your candidate elected. But what do I know? I'm just a stupid, weak woman. All right,
I love the way she ends. What do I know? I'm but a stupid, weak woman. Listen, this is their strategy. You guys are evil and idiots, and also Donald Trump is literally Hitler. These are the closing arguments of the Democrat machine as we head towards November 5th. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? Sage Steele also weighed in. Sage Steele's great. She was on ESPN for the longest time. Sage Steele is one of the ones that exposed Joe Biden needing a scripted Major League Baseball opening day interview. And she's not happy about these comments from Mark Cuban either. Sage Steele recently getting pretty red-pilled and, essentially not being afraid to speak her mind anymore.
You never see Donald Trump around strong, intelligent women. That's the quote, Mark Cuban?
That's the quote.
I gotta say, I have known you and respected you and loved you for a really long time and have watched every single one of the comments you've made over the last several months. And I don't agree with them, but I respect them. And what you just said there is disrespectful, and it crosses the line. How about Tulsi Gabbard? Let me ask you about Tulsi, your friend Tulsi, right? At the end of the day, if she had not left the Democratic Party, I bet that you would think that she's strong and intelligent, but because she crossed the line, she's not?
Exactly. Tulsi, that's the best case, right? If Tulsi was still a Democrat, everybody would still love her. But Tulsi crossed the imaginary line, and now she's an evil, racist bigot. And also an idiot, according to Mark Cuban.
Maybe more importantly, how about personally? We know each other. You and I sat next to each other. Remember at the IU basketball game when Bob Knight came back 4.5 years ago? Me and my daughter for a couple of hours, and you sat and you talked to, forget about me, how about my young daughter, who I think is intelligent, who looked up to you? How about your own daughters? What if someday they decide to think differently than you with their politics? Are they not strong and unintelligent? What is that? You talk about not being divisive, and look at what you're doing. Shocking, because I thought I knew who you were and your heart and your core. I know you're a damn good businessman, and this is just stupid. I don't get it, Mark. Not okay.
No, it's not okay. The timing helps us out. The timing is good. I don't know how Donald Trump can capitalize on this one, though, the same way he capitalized on garbage. I mean, he really capitalized on garbage. I got home the other day, my wife was like, Murphy made such a good point. Said, by showing up in the garbage truck, they forced the media to cover the Joe Biden garbage comments. I was like, yeah, that's a solid point. How do you capitalize on this one? I mean, it pissed off a lot of ladies, and they're out there saying, what is with this guy? But are you going to see Riley Gaines or Sage Steele in these videos on CNN or NBC or ABC? No, probably not. Are you even going to see the Mark Cuban video? No, probably not. But a lot of women, very upset. Very upset. Alveda King weighed in, the niece of Martin Luther King Jr.
Heads up. Mark Cuban just said, and I quote, "There are no strong, intelligent women around President Trump." Cuban's words are mean, sad, and misogynistic. And the left can't even define what a woman is. I am evangelist Alveda King, and I pray for my friend, President Donald John Trump.
Well, we got 4 days left, and I think everybody should be praying for Donald J. Trump. Pray for his safety. Pray for that victory. We got a lot more on the way. Trump was out and about. He was doing a town hall style event with Tucker Carlson in Arizona. We got audio from that on the way. Kamala Harris, she was out as well, getting interrupted by protesters. And lying her way through an MSNBC interview. All that and more on the way. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
Up ahead, what election officials are saying about the American elections and foreign interference today. Also, a hacked highway message board on I-65. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And you guys figured out what the bad word was, right?
We did.
All right.
Yeah, we got some pictures.
Oh, all right. Well, I want to see those during the commercial break.
Okay.
Maybe I'll tweet them out. It's 9:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Kamala Harris, she did a little interview with MSNBC. Very quick. They didn't even sit down. They're just standing up backstage. And this is in Phoenix. And once again, Kamala refuses to disavow Joe Biden's comments calling half the country garbage.
Former President Trump also rode around in a garbage truck to call attention to President Biden's comments about his supporters and their rhetoric. Are you concerned that President Biden's comments might undermine your own messaging that you want to be a president for all Americans?
Well, I've addressed how I feel about those comments. One, that the president explained what he meant. But two, I do not believe, and I will speak for myself, that we should ever criticize people based on who they vote for.
So she didn't exactly say that she doesn't agree, you know? And I love we shouldn't criticize people based on who they vote for, even if they are voting for a Nazi, racist, dictator, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, fascist. You know? Let's not judge people by that, says Kamala Harris. What? Come on. Is anybody buying this? Kamala doesn't think that calling half of the country garbage is going to mess with the message of unity.
As he and his supporters grab onto that language, though, from President Biden, you're not at all concerned that might undermine your messaging.
I am very clear that in this election, what the American people want most is to know that I have a plan, that we have a plan to bring down the cost of living and invest in American families, invest in small businesses, invest in our economy. I am proud that I have the support of leading economists in our nation who recognize that I actually have a specific plan and that it will strengthen America's economy. He has very little of a plan besides giving tax breaks to the richest people, and his plan, whatever it may be, will actually weaken our economy.
His plan is going to weaken our economy, and I have a plan that's going to strengthen our economy. Hey, how's that economy doing today? Has anybody checked in on those jobs report numbers? You know, because you're in the office now, and you could be doing this stuff today, yet a jobs report number just dropped, and it's the worst growth we've had since COVID. Is that Trump's fault? I'm asking for a friend. Is this somehow Trump's fault? I think they're probably going to try and say it's Trump's fault. But the economy numbers are bad. People reacting in real time to this horrific jobs report. We'll break down those numbers next. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Election day right around the corner now, and federal officials are saying that countries like Russia, China, and Iran are spreading misinformation about American elections online. Overnight, election officials in the state of Georgia said a video, ostensibly of a Haitian immigrant claiming to have voted several times, is a fake created by Russia. We get more from ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas.
The bogus Georgia video follows another in battleground Pennsylvania, showing someone destroying Trump ballots. The feds say it's a Russian fake, too. But the good news, according to Homeland Security's top election protection official, despite those efforts, America's voting system is completely secure.
Wilson County school system experiencing a bus driver shortage. Some parents say their kids aren't even getting to school.
If I didn't drive her, my daughter would be missing multiple days of school every single week, which I can't imagine she would be able to pass.
Now, the school says it has increased pay, added benefits, and they're trying to hire more drivers quickly. They'll need 5 to 10 more drivers to end the bus driver crisis. And the Tennessee Department of Transportation has some splaining to do. One of the road signs that was mounted on the back of a truck on Interstate 65 North between Spring Hill and Franklin displayed a vulgar message. Now, it read, "Slow, worker ahead, y'all." And then an F-bomb. TDOT says it's holding the contractor accountable, but they're not saying exactly what they'll do to hold that contractor accountable. The Dow Jones Industrials right now are up 503 points. They're shaking off that bad October jobs report. The NASDAQ is gaining 258. The S&P 500 index is plus 65 points. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I got to tell you about my friends at United Structural Systems. When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of times we don't want to see the warning signs. We don't even want to visualize what the bill could look like. But listen, guys, this could be a big thing or it could be nothing. If you're noticing cracks in your foundation or water getting into your crawl space or sinking steps on your property, maybe a sinkhole that you've been staring at that you're tired of, you want peace of mind. How much is this going to cost? Does this need to be fixed? Is this nothing? Well, when you call USS, you're going to get a problem solver coming to your home that's not worried about selling you up on the next big thing, not worried about a sales quota. The only thing they're worried about is giving you the honest truth about what you need. And if it's nothing, they'll tell you it's nothing. This is how USS has stayed in business since 1994 in Middle Tennessee. This is how they've accumulated 25,000 residential satisfied customers, because they'll just tell you the truth, and they won't leave until the job is done and you're satisfied. And when they do leave, they leave behind a warranty that is good for life. And if you leave the home, they're so confident in their warranty, the warranty can stay. Listen, if you need to keep your home dry, if you need to get it stable, you need to call USS. 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Western Kentucky. Online at USSTN.com.
Jobs report, and the prophecy came true. Jobs light, 12,000 in non-farm payroll. That is the lightest going back to December of 2020.
The U.S. added 12,000 jobs in October, which includes a net loss of 46,000 manufacturing jobs. And as they said on CNBC, that's the lightest since December of 2020. Yikes.
Jobs report, and the prophecy came true. Jobs light, 12,000 in non-farm payroll. That is the lightest going back to December of 2020.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, 939. You know, they can only campaign on Trump is literally Hitler. He's a fascist, and everybody that supports him is garbage or dumb because they can't stand on business. Don is driving on the road, and he says that I've been pushing misinformation. Don, what did I get wrong, Don? You're next on Super Talk. Thanks for calling.
Okay, yeah, Chris, you made a comment that the economy's in worse shape now than it's been since COVID.
I said this is the worst jobs report since
is that all?
The worst month of
economy since. Can you have it? You got it on tape, I'm sure.
This is the worst month of job growth since the height of COVID.
I didn't hear that job growth comment, but if you said that, then you may be onto something. I was going to ask you where you got your information from, but you have more access to information than I do, certainly.
No, I mean, I would, Don, I'd argue we have the exact same access to information. I'm not paying for any subscription services.
I'm driving right now.
No, I feel you.
That's basically what I'm alluding to. Go ahead.
No. Worst, according to CNBC, worst job growth since December 2020.
Do you know that mortgage rates are down below 6%? Did you know that?
I did. Did you know that the Feds posted the largest monthly core inflation gain since April?
Well, inflation, that has really nothing to do except with the president or anything to do with politics. It has to do primarily with the companies that are putting out these prices and putting the products on the shelves.
Are you sure about that? Because if gas prices go up and the cost of getting goods to the stores, that has nothing to do with the prices that they charge?
Yeah, well, gas prices don't have anything to do with politics either. It has to do with OPEC and the people that control the product. Those are the people that dictate the prices.
So but do you think that we're in a good spot for the economy right now? I guess I'm kind of confused. I'm kind of confused at, I don't know. It seems
don't
like
be
you're
confused. Just hear this. I have seen the economy in the dirt, and I've seen it at an even keel, and right now it's in a position that we can grow from here. But I know one thing, when it comes to politics, I would like to see somebody have a moral compass and not just be all over the place with their character to lead the country. The country deserves better than that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, man.
We as Americans deserve a person that has a moral compass, that is a decent, upstanding American citizen.
Amen. Amen, Don. And that's why we're voting Donald J. Trump on November 5th, right, brother?
This guy is a convicted criminal. He's a rapist.
He is.
He lies and cheats on his taxes.
Oh.
I mean, I have never cheated on my taxes.
Okay.
And I'm 72 years old.
All right.
How do you think, a person of that moral character and grabbing women by their privates and talk about it to a younger man? What kind of that young man that's the actor that he got off the bus with? That was an absolute disgrace. I thought, and
we're bringing up the Billy Bush tape. Don, do you feel like you're reaching when you're bringing up the Billy Bush tape? I mean, that was from 2015.
No, I don't care if I brought it. I have never done. I grew up in Compton, California. If I ever had said anything about grabbing somebody's girlfriend, or mother, or sister, I would have been in the fight for my life.
Hey, Don.
And I have fought.
Hey, Don.
What?
Don, is California better after Kamala Harris, or is it California worse?
Kamala didn't run California. What kind of man are you? You just throwing stuff out there to try to make her look bad? The woman is a decent woman. I don't know about everything she did wrong.
She's a decent woman?
I would say so, yes.
I think she's an empty vessel. I think she is a puppet on a string.
Well, where did you get your law degree from, empty vessel?
What? I need a law degree, Don?
Well,
what about you? What about you? Where's your law degree from, my friend?
Well, I only have a BA, but that's not the point.
Okay, I didn't go to college. I think it's a scam.
Well, you don't have to. Well, you know what? I thought some of it might be a scam too after the fact, but that's neither here nor there. Well, maybe we can agree on that. Everybody doesn't need college. What we need is more people that can do a trade. I think would be a better line of
listen, we can absolutely agree on that. That's what I'm going to push my boys into doing. You know, for a while I was thinking about
tell them to start their own company.
100%. That's the move. For a while, you know, I thought I was with my boys. They really wanted to be like police officers and military. And it just seems like the leftist woke politics have gotten way too ingrained in society, and I don't think that those are safe moves anymore. When the Democrat Party's become the party of war and the party of demonizing police, I don't know how you could vote any other way. I don't know how you could.
I don't think anybody in their right mind in America would demonize police across the board. That's such a general statement. That's offensive to me.
Have you been paying attention? Have you been paying attention the last few years?
Absolutely, I've been paying attention my whole life.
You don't think that anybody's been demonizing police across the board?
No, they demonize the ones that need to be demonized.
Which ones?
You know,
which ones?
The ones that choke people to death. And
listen. George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose, and you can go to the toxicology reports and check that out.
Some absolute.
No, I'm not.
That guy wasn't on his neck.
I'm not putting out disinformation. You can literally go look at the toxicology report. He didn't die of a fix. He didn't die of a fix.
I don't care. You probably have some dope in you if you get right down to it that you might have taken for a cold or cough or something.
I don't know about anybody taking fentanyl for a cold or cough. Don, I don't know. Don,
go ahead.
Who's taking fentanyl for a cold?
Nobody puts their knee on your neck.
Why you tell me to go ahead and then you start talking right when I start talking?
Well, I had to get that out about the knee on the neck.
The knee was on his back. You can see it from the other angle.
Oh man! So he died right there on the street. You know.
Was George a hero?
I don't know if George was a hero or not. A hero is somebody that saves lives. Maybe he was a hero on another day.
Should we turn him into a martyr? Should we turn this guy into a martyr? When you're telling me I can't support a convicted. Hold on. You're telling me I can't support a convicted felon, Donald J. Trump. Yet you're over here defending George Floyd, a convicted felon who robbed a pregnant woman and put a gun to her belly.
I didn't start anything about George Floyd. That was
dude, no, you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were implying. Come on, don't play games with me.
No, you asked me people. You said people were villainizing police officers or police work.
Yes.
We couldn't function as a country without proper policing.
Absolutely. We agree. And we've created a culture where nobody wants to become cops anymore because they're afraid to do their job or they're going to end up on TV or in prison.
I'm a policeman. I have a brother that was a commander in Rampart Division. That's in Los Angeles. So you don't have to be fearful. You got the baddest gang on the planet is the police department in every city, town, and hamlet across this country. Those are the real gangsters. If you want to get gangster, they got all the guns, all the ammunition, and all the law behind them. So they shouldn't have any problem with any town, city, hamlet, or whatever you want to find that can't police and keep order for the law-abiding citizens should be turned out and brought in all new that can handle it. So anybody that's afraid of that is ridiculous. You shouldn't be in law enforcement.
Don, I think that you're missing the point here. The police department's been demonized. We did. So tell me again. Let's reset. Why is it that you're supporting Donald J. Trump?
I'm not.
Why? I don't understand why. He's the only president in the last 16 years that had no new wars. No new wars. He had a great economy.
Well,
record low unemployment for blacks, Latinos. I mean, I just don't understand.
He inherited Barack Obama's program. So don't get it twisted.
No, Barack
When he
Obama was on stage saying that Donald Trump can't wave a magic wand and fix this economy, and then Donald Trump came in, and apparently he did have a magic wand because he fixed the economy.
No, he got what happened was Barack put everything in place. If you know anything about, and you do know, you're just playing dumb. You have to get everything in order. By the time you leave office, whatever you implemented, it takes time for the bureaucracy to work it through. And by the time the bureaucracy gets on track, you're long gone. That's what happened.
What magic wand do you have?
What magic wand do you have? What magic wand do you have was Barack Obama's exact line. Trump got into office and he fixed things. He eliminated regulation.
No. All I'm saying, Chris, is everything that happened under Donald Trump's first president from his presidency was already in place. The things that worked. He tried to jump up and down on
This is such a weird new flex that just happened within the last few months when Barack Obama took credit on stage at a Kamala Harris rally. Nobody was saying this before that.
Well, I've known it my whole since the man took office. Barack.
I just can't. It blows my mind that you actually believe this, and you live in Middle Tennessee. Where do you?
I live in Georgia.
Live in Georgia.
I live in Georgia.
Man.
Yeah, but I'm a native Californian.
Yeah, see, that's the issue. I think that's where your problem is starting, Don.
Well, here you go, Chris. I went from California to Philadelphia, from Philadelphia to Delaware, and I voted for Joe Biden when he was a senator. Before he became a senator, I was out with a crew. They were cleaning high-rise superstructure windows, and he pulled up and asked me, do I do residential? I had to tell him no. And then he let down the window and said, do you recognize who I am? And I said, no, I do not. And then I bent down and I looked. I said, wait, you're Joe Biden. I voted for you for senator. He said, yeah. He said, could you make an exception? I said, well, where's your house? Right down on Route there. And I went down the route and found his home. So well, I didn't want to put that on the air if it's still on the air.
Don, I don't know how to talk you into voting for a guy when we can present you with actual facts and then you don't want to listen to it.
Well, no, I'm listening to everything you're saying when I'm not talking, but but I want you to know
classic liberals, right, Don?
I have no idea. I don't go into taking labels like that. I have been an independent most of my adult career.
You're an independent. You consider yourself an independent?
I was an independent.
Okay, but you're an independent. You're an independent. You've told me that. You're pro George Floyd. Obama's the reason that Trump had a good economy. You voted for Biden. Did you vote for Hillary?
No, I didn't go that way.
Did you voted for Trump in 2016?
I was out of town. I was out of the country, and I didn't bother with a mail-in and all that. I was in Africa at the time.
I would just say, Don, have you voted already?
Yes, I have.
Ugh. All right. Well,
I have. I voted already.
All right. And, somebody make a phone call to a friend in Georgia. Let's cancel out Don's vote.
Yeah, see, that's what's wrong. You guys got it on the other side now. You guys want to stop everybody from voting.
What do you mean? I don't want to stop you from voting. I'm joking with you.
No, I'm saying no. But there are plenty of people that have this mindset. That something's wrong with like the voting system. I hope you don't think that the previous election that Donald Trump still crying about 2020 that it was a crooked election.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do think it was crooked. I do.
Oh my!
And here's the thing: I can listen. I can prove it. I can prove it, and we don't even have to get into the voting machines where. Hacked from different countries. I'm not even going to go that route. Hold on.
Machines were bad.
Hold on. Time out. I'm talking. Don, you got to let me talk. I can tell you that the election was rigged without even having to go down rabbit holes or conspiracy theories. The mainstream media ignored and denied the Hunter Biden laptop story. They suppressed it on Twitter when the New York Post reported it. They shut down their account. They shut down the accounts of anyone trying to share it. You weren't even allowed to direct message this story to people on Twitter, and the mainstream media completely ignored it. Then you had 51 former intelligence officials come out and say that it was Russian disinformation, even though at the time the FBI knew that the laptop was authentic and Hunter Biden's. If that information came out, Joe Biden never wins the election.
Chris, that's not how you win an election. The elections are won by the votes.
And you need to have all the information to make an accurate vote.
Well, whose fault is that if the people don't get the accurate information?
The fault? No. It's the fault of the mainstream media and the Democrat establishment for shutting those things down.
Okay,
and they are the party. No. They're the
Let me just say this.
They're the party of censorship. They censored us during the 2020 election. They censored us during COVID. They don't believe in the First Amendment.
Up to the state official in Georgia, telling them find me 11,700.
You're right. Oh, they should have been able to just shut down phone calls too.
Well, yeah. I mean, when he called up wanting to cheat like that, I mean, you don't see that
where did you listen to the whole phone call?
Yeah, I heard it.
Did you listen to it, or do you listen to it out of context? Because they always take him out of context. They're saying this morning that he wants to line up Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad because they take it. No.
He didn't say that. He didn't say a firing squad. He said if you put her in a situation like that with guns in her face.
Because he's making the point that she'll send your sons and daughters to war and she would never go there herself.
Yeah,
and they eliminate. This is what they do all the time. They eliminate the context.
Incriminating himself.
Don, they eliminate the context.
All
right.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Don, I appreciate you, man. Keep listening. I am grateful that you're listening. Hopefully we can shake you awake.
Yeah, all right. Well, same here, Chris.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. It's 9:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years. I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And got my first commission in 1972.
Okay. Yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much you had one uniform. I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to, if you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing, you had that tie on.
Oh, wow.
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, come on, April 1st.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Ten o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got your forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes, and we begin with a devastating story out of Orlando where a celebration in the downtown area turned deadly overnight.
Surveillance video captures a wave of people running from the sound of gunfire just after 1 a.m. It also shows police officers moving in to find and apprehend the shooter.
Most of them, got a little bit of cover between them. They started scanning, seeing what was going on, and then they moved.
Orlando Police Chief Eric Smith says a 17-year-old is in custody and facing charges in the shooting that left 2 people dead and 6 more wounded. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Well, just days to go until Election Day, and as we learn more about the makeup of early voters, there's a warning bell for male voters.
More than 62 million Americans have already voted. In Pennsylvania, some potentially encouraging news for Harris. 58% of votes cast by seniors in that state so far have been cast by Democrats, compared to 35% by Republicans. And people over the age of 65 account for nearly half the early ballots in that state. Across the country, data shows women outpacing men in early voting, 54 to 44%. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk posting this: early vote has been disproportionately female. If men stay at home, Kamala is president. It's that simple.
ABC's Perry Russum reporting. A pedestrian hit this morning on the ramp from 2nd Avenue to I-40 East here in Nashville. That person was transported to the hospital. No word on their condition. Tennessee Highway Patrol has 8 new dispatchers graduating after completing 7 weeks of intense training. Colonel Matt Perry talked to Channel 4 about how important those dispatchers are.
You see troopers at flooding and natural disasters and events like you've seen, but what you don't see is dispatchers are there right along with us. Their just in a building. They're a little more out of sight, out of mind, but they don't get to go home when their shift's in, just like a trooper. It's a calling. It's not for everyone.
Highway Patrol saying they're still hiring more dispatchers, too. A special concert being held this weekend to benefit Hurricane Helene victims in East Tennessee and North Carolina. It's happening at the Listening Room Cafe Sunday at 6 p.m. Performers like Kobe Calais, Phil Barton, and Chrissy Metz from This Is Us. They'll take the stage. All that money raised will go to Beacon Rescue, which is a nonprofit helping people to recover and rebuild. Market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Looks like investors have really shrugged off that awful Labor Department report this morning. Dow Jones Industrials right now up 473. The NASDAQ is gaining 230, and the S&P 500 index up 56 points. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a Guaranteed Offer and start packing.
.10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I want to give a shout out to Don from Georgia. Listen, I love it when leftists call in. Don said he was an independent, and I don't tend to believe that, especially when he was just kind of giving me the media talking points. But I like these conversations with people from the left, and I want to have these conversations. I don't want to come off as a jerk, and I don't want to not give people the room to talk. But I jokingly said, well, you're in Georgia, right? I said, well, somebody on the Super Text line, let me know that we can cancel out that vote because he's obviously voting for Kamala. And I just wanted to update you. 2425 said, don't worry, my brother down on Jekyll Island got that vote covered. Nice. You guys are hilarious. I love it. And then, listen, shout out to Don. I do appreciate you calling in. I do appreciate you listening. I like having conversations where we're not just like screaming at each other and angry, Even though I do think that you've been taking down a bit too much blue Kool-Aid and you need to moderate that a bit, personally. But I appreciate you calling in. I really do. A couple people wanting to respond to Don from Georgia. Jim on the road up first. You're on Super Talk. What's up, Jim?
First of all, I'd like to correct Don from Georgia. Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's back, just like what you said, and that was in the policeman's manual of how to subdue a suspect that was uncooperative. Well, George Floyd did die of a lethal dose of fentanyl, which he took extra to hide it from police.
Yeah, he put it in his mouth. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that blows my mind, though. They're like, we can't, but the left will say, we can't support a convicted felon. George Floyd was a saint. It's like, what? What are you talking about? When did that happen?
2 months before that, George Floyd had been in a hospital for an overdose of fentanyl.
Yep.
So it wasn't his first time that had happened, but he had a lethal dose of fentanyl in his system that would have killed 4 or 5 people.
And I know, and it's been discussed ad nauseum on this station. You know, the realities behind the George Floyd story, the death and the destruction that came after that. I mean, even down to him calling for his mother. It's like, no, he's calling for his girlfriend who was on the scene. She was saved in his phone as Mama. Like you can break down that story and you can present a liberal with facts, and they'll never take that.
Next thing he's talked about was the economy. Barack Obama, you're right, around 2015, 2016, the economy was flat. It was stagnant. It wasn't going anywhere. And Barack Obama said, well, this is the best it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know, this is a modern economy. And whenever Donald Trump was running, you're right, and Donald Trump talked about all those things he was going to do and how he was going to improve the economy, Barack Obama just laughed at him with that goofy laugh he has. And like you said, unless he has a magic wand, he won't do anything.
Well, and
Obama was afraid of him getting elected because he knew he would show him up.
And it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts, though, when they say, well, you have to understand that his policies take time to come into effect, right? So anything good that happened during Trump's term is credit to Obama. It's like, yeah, but Obama had 2 terms, so why was his second term so bad?
Yeah, his economy was flat because the only jobs Obama created were government jobs.
Yep. And listen, we're seeing that in the jobs report today. If it wasn't for government jobs being created, we would have a negative number of jobs completely.
Marxists like Obama, Harris, and Biden, they don't know modern economics. Okay, and then last, the election in 2020 was rigged. Right after that election, the only time I've ever agreed with the Ayatollah of Iran is whenever he said that the United States has no moral ground to criticize the rest of the world after this crooked election. Okay, how it was, all these laws were passed in these states like Pennsylvania and Georgia, circumventing what the legislature had said election laws are supposed to be. They went in and slipped in those mail-in ballots, and those things were not foolproof. You can't tell me that a mail-in ballot can't be forged by somebody.
Yeah.
And show up and vote in person.
My point on the 2020 election is we can make our case without before we even get to mail-in ballots. We can make the case that the election wasn't on the up and up because of how they hid information from the American people.
Well, that part is true. That's one of those cases where, it's a matter of opinion. We know it's true. We know what happened. We know how the FBI went out here and they got Zuckerberg to suppress things. They knew it was coming, and they said, hey, this is Russian disinformation. You better not let it flow through your system.
Zuckerberg's on the record now saying like he regrets bending the knee to the government all the times he did through the election and through COVID. They put the thumb on the scale with Jack Dorsey and Twitter too before Elon got it. This is why Elon's been demonized. Now that we have a free speech platform, they can't have the American people getting unfiltered information. It's a disaster. But my point is, you can make the case that the election wasn't on the up and up before you even get to the mail-in ballots. And you have a very, very strong case.
That's true. Another thing, and I'll cut out here, is there's an international watchdog group that's been watching for about 60 years industrialized countries or countries that supposedly have democratically elected governments. And for elections that are, shall we say, fair or legal or legitimate, And there's like a group of, I think there's like 75 or 80 countries that they watch. And after the 2020 election, we were graded number 47th on the list of having election integrity because of those mail-in ballots and them not requiring a signed affidavit of somebody saying, yeah, it's John Doe that signed that, and somebody signs it and says, yeah, that's him. Because otherwise you really can't say that, hey, I didn't get your ballot out of your mailbox that you got mailed to you, sign your name and send it in.
Yep.
I mean, that, it's not, so, and they lowered the, up in Pennsylvania, right before the election or a few weeks before, they changed the software where they only had to be a 40% match to a signature. And so, and there was people who signed affidavits saying that they saw them loading ballots after the polls had closed, and they were loading ballots that were postmarked after when they were supposed to be postmarked.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's like we don't want to. We got 5 days to the election. We don't really want to be hyper focused on 2020. I want to be more hyper focused on where we go next. And I appreciate the call, Jim. I really do. You got great points and great call. Tony is also waiting in the queue to respond to our caller, our leftist, liberal, independent, as he put it, caller Don from Georgia. Tony, what's up?
What's up, man? First of all, I'm saying this because I want to make a point. I'm a black man in America. The first point I want to address with Don, he seemed like he has some kind of moral character. He don't have no morals because you're supporting people that in North Carolina, up there with Robinson is running for governor, trying to get curriculum out of schools that's teaching little boys in elementary school that it's all right to suck another little boy's penis.
Well, let's dump that. Let's say, hey, I get where you're coming from, Tony, but let's try not to be as graphic as that.
Sorry.
You know what I'm saying?
I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. You're not shocking me. This is nothing that I haven't heard before. I was actually no, you're cool. I was at Believers Summit and in Florida with a group of Christians. I'm standing there with my pastor, John Amanchukwu, who's another pastor. He goes into school board meetings and reads these books, and we're looking at these books that are in these libraries.
Right.
And it's so shocking, and it's just so uncomfortable. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to be too graphic about what's in those books.
Okay, I'm sorry. I really apologize to your listening audience for saying that. I tried to use technical terms.
Yeah, no. I hear you. I hear you.
But anyway, he supports people that
are pushing. They're pushing radical sexual indoctrination on kids.
Radical sexual things, puberty blockers for little kids.
Yep.
Taking drag queen in the elementary schools, putting on drag shows.
Yep.
All of these things. Then the other point is about George Floyd. There's one truth that nobody want to even recognize or say. If he hadn't have broke the law, the police wouldn't even have been there. If he had obeyed the law, none of that stuff wouldn't even have happened.
Facts.
That's the next thing is. And then she's going to get on television and say, well, if they bring back up Roe v. Wade to come across my desk, I'm going to sign it in the law. He don't have the sense enough to know that they destroyed thousands of babies in this country every day, both black and white.
Well, and let's also
of them are black.
And let's talk about the actual starting point for Planned Parenthood with Margaret Sanger. She wanted to get rid of the lesser, the less desirable races. She wanted to go after the black community, and it's so sad that we don't have this conversation more. But it's if you see a pregnant woman on the subway in New York City, she's more likely to be going to an abortion clinic than she is to be going to an OBGYN.
That's right. One other point. To show you how brilliant Trump was, just 2 points and I'll get off the phone and listen. They kept trying to get him to disclose his tax returns. He held his tax returns back on purpose, just to put egg in their face. And then finally, when they turned him loose, they found out that there wasn't nothing wrong with him.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite moments of the Trump presidency was during that debate with Hillary, And she's like, well, you don't pay your taxes. He's like, no. I follow all the loopholes that I can.
Right.
And he's like, you're right. You're right. I try to pay as little taxes as possible as allowed by the law. He goes, by the way, you've been in government for how long and you haven't changed it? Because your friends are using the same tax code that I am. It's such a weird flex, man.
Right. And see, these people don't deal with facts. All they do is just regurgitate what they hear from the mainstream media. And Barack Obama, when he was in office, I think the GPA was 1%, something like that. And then he turned around and said, get used to the new normal. This is the new normal here.
Yep.
But the last point I like to make is, I heard a man say one day, there's three kind of people in the world. There's those that make things happen. There's those that waiting on something to happen. And then there's those that don't know what the hell is happening. Now, which category do you think Don fits in? Hey, I'll get off the phone and listen.
Hey, I appreciate you, Tony. Thanks for the call, man. Call back anytime, all right?
All right, man.
Hey, that's Tony in Nashville. I think Tony just climbed to the list as one of my favorites. I mean, listen, you just pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to what's going on. And the jobs report numbers that came out today are disastrous for Biden, disastrous for Harris, disastrous for the Democrats. Even CNN is hitting the news this morning and admitting how bad these numbers really are. And you know it's bad when CNN has to cover it.
It's a massive drop, of course, from what we saw in September. That number was also revised lower, down to 223,000 jobs. In fact, what we lost was over 110,000 jobs over August and September. So,
and remember that they've been continually revising their jobs report numbers down. So these jobs numbers that we got today, we could find out in a month that they're actually even worse, right? Are you keeping score at home? It's not a good look. I'm actually, we have CNN on in the studio. This is how I saw this CNN economy thing, and they're actually talking about Liz Cheney. Trump says Liz Cheney should have guns trained on her face. See, they can't stand on business. They can only stand on hoaxes. This is the new hoax that came out of the Tucker RFK Jr. Trump rally last night in Arizona. I'm going to break down the hoax, what they're saying Trump said versus what Trump actually said. And we'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Before we go any further, though, I do have to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is time to get your system serviced. If you're waiting, stop waiting. Your heat is going to be running at full force before you know it. It is November. We're setting the clock back this weekend. Like I'm telling you, before you know it, your heater is going to be running all day long. And if it's not running at maximum peak efficiency, you're waiting for a problem to pop up. Don't wait for that problem. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And when you call them, sign up for the Beehive Club membership. So much value. 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for your heating, 1 for your cooling, 1 for your plumbing. 10% discount on repairs. Priority. Front-of-the-line service. $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000. No overtime or holiday fees and exclusive Beehive member promotions. All of that for as little as $99. It's the best value in HVAC. It comes from Busy Bee, your Root Pro partner. To get involved today, become a Beehive Club member. Call them, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, or hit the website, busybeehvac.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Tennessee police believe they are closer than ever to catching a killer. And 100,000 people celebrating Halloween, but the party was shattered after a mass shooting. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. I am Chris Hand. It's 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. That's at Chris Hand on Air. So we got a new hoax. Hey, couple days till the election, and new hoax just dropped, fresh out the oven. This is a good one. It's a good one. Listen, I don't want any stale hoaxes. I want my hoaxes fresh, delivered daily by the Democrats. And the new one, Donald Trump wants Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad with guns trained on her face.
It's like the crawler said right before I told you to look up at it. It said Trump is calling for Liz Cheney to be shot. And I was like, what? That's not, no.
What?
That's wrong.
No. Here's the thing. The leftists would prefer that to happen to our side and our guy. If you spend any amount of time on X or any of the social media platforms, you can find that for yourself. That's not what we're about over here on the conservative side at all. But this happened last night, Glendale, Arizona. It's Trump, it's Tucker, RFK Jr. was there. And this is how the left is positioning it.
Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
Oh, no. He's calling for Liz Cheney to be in front of a firing squad. He's calling for her to have guns trained on her face, this violent rhetoric. But again, they accuse us of taking Biden out of context when he called Trump supporters garbage, even though we'll play you the clip in context. But this is not taking Trump out of context. No, of course not. He's just an evil fascist dictator, bigot, racist, transphobe, homophobe, xenophobe, and any phobes I may have left out, right? So this is just part and parcel for the course. But no.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person.
Wow, with the context, it actually makes a lot of sense. You mean that politicians don't care about sending your sons and daughters into war because it doesn't affect them. That's the point Trump is making, but they're going to say he's calling for violence. This evil, evil man. Why do they do this? Well, war is very profitable. It's profitable to sell the bombs. It's profitable to rebuild the countries. It is a money-making operation. This is why the military-industrial complex doesn't want Trump in the White House. This is why they look at people like Tulsi Gabbard and they bite their nails. They don't want this change. They don't. Trump was the only president that didn't start any new wars. He didn't start any new wars. He made it less profitable for these people, and so they're going to demonize him any way they can. And the Democrats are now the pro-war party. This is why Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney are lining up behind Kamala Harris. There's money to be made. This is why they're pushing new hoaxes that Trump wants to see Liz Cheney standing with a rifle in her face and 9 barrels shooting at her. This is why they're pushing that hoax without any context. There's a lot of money to be made, and there's a lot of money to lose if Donald Trump wins in 4 days, which, Lord willing, he will. Donald Trump doesn't want war, and he doesn't want war hawks in his cabinet. And he made that quite clear. He actually was talking about another war hawk during this event, and I don't think they're going to use this as a hoax, but I'll play it for you, even though the mainstream media won't. He was talking about John Bolton, and he had a lot to say about John Bolton, and I'll play that for you next, as well as his thoughts on some other Democrats while he was with RFK and Tucker in Arizona last night. We'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 10:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Police and federal law enforcement say murder suspect Nicholas Hamlet has been spotted in South Carolina. Hamlet's accused of killing a person near Tellico Plains and then calling 911 using a stolen identity, claiming to be a distressed hiker being followed by a bear. Well, after being spotted last night, police used canines and helicopters to search for Hamlet. So far, no sign of him. Police there in South Carolina say they will continue that search throughout the day. A teenage suspect being held in an overnight shooting that left 2 people dead and 6 more wounded at a Halloween event in downtown Orlando. ABC's Jim Ryan says investigators are working to determine a motive.
Police issued their first alert about an active shooter just after 1 a.m. when shots were fired into a crowd of people.
It was definitely scary, but it's expected downtown, I feel like.
Sophia Akala lives in downtown Orlando near the site of the violence.
Every time there's an event, people shoot.
Police arrested a 17-year-old armed with a handgun near the scene.
The jobs report for October came in much weaker than expected this morning.
Just 12,000 jobs were created in the month of October. That's below where expectations were. And there were really 3 major events that put a dent in the numbers. First of all, Hurricanes Helene and Milton, and then the strike at Boeing. Manufacturing jobs, for example, those fell by 46,000 in the month of October.
ABC's Rebecca Jarvis. And digging deeper into the numbers, we find that the Labor Department revised sharply downward the last 2 months, too, trimming 112,000 jobs in total. Well, the markets have shaken off that bad report this morning, and Wall Street is trading sharply higher. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Paul Winkler, Inc. We got 4 days left till a major election. What's going to happen with your retirement stuff? What's going to happen with taxes? What's going to happen? You want to be able to talk to a guy that can break it down in a way that you can understand. You want to be able to talk to a guy that's going to be honest with you. And I found a guy in Paul Winkler and his team at Paul Winkler, Inc. Now, they do pay me to do the endorsements, but they don't pay me to be a client. I'm a client of Paul's because I honestly, truly trust these guys. And Paul can break it down for you. He's told me quite a few times, listen, if somebody worked for a car company, they're going to say that their car is the best because most people get advice from investing from banks and insurance agents. They'll get that advice from people who sell investment products. You understand how that works? Well, Paul and his team came from that side of the industry, and they can tell you exactly what goes on. So call Paul and his team to get a clear picture of where and what to do next. 615-851-1950. That's 615-851-1950. Online at paulwinkler.com.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
Yeah, they're all war hawks when they're safe in D.C. That's the point Donald Trump was making last night about Liz Cheney. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yet the Kamala HQ and the Kamala campaign, they've sunk their teeth into this, and so have their partners in the mainstream media. Oh my gosh! Trump is calling for Liz Cheney to be executed, and they're taking that clip I just played, which is 33 seconds in its entirety, and they're whittling it down to just 11 seconds.
Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
And the pearl clutching begins from the left. How could he say that? We knew he was a fascist. We knew he was a dictator. We knew this about him. Oh, my goodness gracious. Ah! I'm so tired of this stuff. I don't think this is going to make a difference at the end of the day. The people that are going to eat this up already believe that he's a fascist dictator, literally Hitler.
We have 4 days.
We have 4 days. I think what you should do is use this as motivation, not to be complacent, to get up off the couch, make those phone calls with your people. It is time. It is time to take this country back, and we got 4 days to go. 4 days to go. It didn't stop. Nashville's own Phil Williams. He's talking about this. He posted just a couple hours ago. This is right around 6 a.m. He posted another morning in America. Of course, it's Phil Williams, so it's probably like another morning in America. You know, right? Is that a good Phil Williams voice? Sorry, I probably shouldn't do that.
It's
probably rude.
It's like a mix of his voice and Kermit the Frog.
I will say, I don't know. I had heard of Phil Williams for a long time, and then I heard his reporting. I was like, that's Phil Williams. Anyway, he posted the headline page from the Drudge Report. Trump calls for Cheney's execution. It's like, what happened to you, Drudge Report? Like, you guys used to be cool. And he says, and in July he shared a post calling for military tribunals on former Republican Rep Liz Cheney. He's accusing her of treason. It's like, guys, come on. This is ridiculous. You're taking a clip out of context, and you're pushing a new hoax. Okay. Hey, this is what the left does. This is what they do. And even Kamala, senior advisor, this is what they call this guy, Ian Sams. He was on MSNBC talking about this call to execute Liz Cheney.
You heard the vice president talk exactly about things like this on Tuesday night in her closing argument. Donald Trump is so all consumed by his grievances. The people who he disagrees with and who he sees as opposing him politically, he treats as enemies. He spent the last month talking about the enemy from within the United States. And now he's going after Liz Cheney with this dangerous, violent rhetoric.
I love how now dangerous, violent rhetoric is a problem. Right now, it's a problem. Oh, calling a guy who's had 2 assassination attempts on his life, literally Hitler, is not violent rhetoric. Calling him a fascist and a dictator is not violent rhetoric. This is violent rhetoric. Calling out a war hawk for doing war hawk things. Oh, this is so Trump. He's so evil that he doesn't want ridiculous politicians to send your sons and daughters into war. Because, they don't care because they don't face the consequences. I can't with these people.
I mean, think about the contrast between these two candidates. You have Donald Trump, who's talking about sending a prominent Republican to the firing squad, and you have Vice President Harris talking about sending one to her cabinet.
It's ridiculous. He was saying you wouldn't make the same decisions if it was you going into battle. And he's absolutely right.
This is the difference in this race. You have one candidate who's extending an arm and saying, we may not agree on everything. That's okay. I may make mistakes. You may not like me on every issue. That's okay. But we have to turn the page on this division and this anger and, frankly, the instability that we see from Donald Trump.
You've been calling us garbage. Mark Cuban is out there saying that Trump doesn't have any strong women around him ever. He doesn't have strong, smart women around him ever. And then you tell us we had to chill with this division and we gotta look for unity. Miss me with that. I don't know if I want to be unified with these people after all of these lies and all of this hate. I'm just so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. You wouldn't make the same. You wouldn't make the same decision if it was you going to war. That's the point Donald Trump is making. And that's too much for these radical leftists.
If we ever want to move forward as a country, if we ever want to get anything done that actually matters for your life, he's going to sit in the Oval Office stewing over his enemies list of people who he perceives as his political opponents, as his enemies. And she's going to sit in the Oval Office and actually focus on a to-do list of priorities for the American people, lowering costs, protecting reproductive freedom. These are the things that she's talking about over and over again in her campaign. We have new polls out overnight from Marist, for example, in the battleground states, showing Donald Trump's lead on the economy has been erased. It's because people are hearing from her about her actual plans to bring down costs.
I mean, I think this is a bigger hoax than Donald Trump saying he wants Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. They're pushing a hoax that Kamala Harris has closed the gap of Trump's lead on the economy. Really? Oh, that's news to me. I wonder if this jobs report number from this morning is going to change any of that. I mean, it was the worst jobs report numbers since December of 2020.
Let me give you the rest of the numbers and let y'all discuss this. 4.1% is the rate, 4.1%. That came in as expected. Private sector jobs, negative 28,000. Negative. Okay, we were looking for 90,000 added, negative 28,000 on private. Factory jobs, a loss of 46,000 jobs. Government jobs, we added 40,000 government jobs.
So they only added government jobs. Is this how she's closing the gap on the economy? What? This is, again, Ian Sams is trying to go out there and paint Trump as a tyrant and saying that he's going to have Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad and that the violent rhetoric needs to end. But I think the biggest hoax that they're pushing is that Kamala has closed the gap on the economy with Trump in this same clip. What a nut. Kenny in Brentwood, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Yeah, the first thing that Trump says in that Liz Cheney quote is, "Give her a rifle."
Yep.
Are these idiots under the impression that when they send somebody to a firing squad, they arm them so they can return fire?
Exactly. Well, they're just missing the point. He's saying you wouldn't make the same decision if it was you going into war. And he's absolutely right. They wouldn't. But they don't care about our sons and daughters. They just don't.
No, they don't. Because their sons and daughters don't do any fighting. My son's in the Air Force. Yeah. I appreciate the fact that he's not at war.
Yeah, I hear you. And this is just what we get from the left. I appreciate the call, Kenny. Jerry down there in Huntsville. What's up, Jerry?
Yes, I was listening to what Mark Cuban said a moment ago, and it's fascinating because he claims that Kamala is saying all these things she's going to do with the economy, bring people together or whatever, and I've listened to her speeches almost from day one, and the woman has yet to answer a question about anything. She talks in generalities. She never answers a question. And, these people are delusional, that's all I can say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely delusional. I appreciate the call. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. Trump is going to put his political enemies in front of a firing squad with their own rifle. Oh. This is the unhinged left. They're going to latch onto anything that they can. Anything they can. And trust me, they're going to be pushing this Liz Cheney stuff as hard as they possibly can to deflect from these jobs report numbers. 100%. 100%. Katie Hunt over at CNN, she was just in her feelings over Donald Trump saying that Liz Cheney wouldn't make the same decision if it was her going to war.
4 days out from Election Day, and former President Donald Trump is escalating his violent rhetoric, suggesting one of his most prominent critics, the former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, should be fired upon.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
Now listen, let's give CNN a little bit of credit here for playing the entire clip. Yet Casey Hunt, she doesn't even understand the clip. She's too focused on the narrative.
Let's see how she feels when the guns are trained on her face. Let's sit with that for a moment.
Yeah, I sat with it, and I think she would make a completely different decision if she was the one going into war. This is how war hawks work.
Of course, violent rhetoric, it's not new for Trump. But this stark imagery represents an escalation at a tense moment when the country is on edge heading into Tuesday, with 7 in 10 Americans saying they feel anxious or frustrated about the election, according to a new AP poll. And it comes after Trump has raised the specter of using the U.S. military on Americans he calls the enemy within.
Here we go. I mean, they're just pushing hoaxes. They're pushing hoaxes. Liz Cheney responded, said, "This is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be a tyrant." Liz, didn't your voters send you home? Liz Cheney, asking for a friend. Didn't the people that you represent decide that you didn't represent them anymore? And they sent you packing? Does anybody care what Liz Cheney thinks? She's a war hawk. And she wouldn't make those same decisions if she was the one going to fight the war. But Trump is a vindictive, petty tyrant. Greg in McMinnville, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Greg?
Yeah, I had a question. They keep calling Trump Hitler and a fascist. Don't you think that some of the people that lived through the Holocaust, you know, some of the 80, 90, 100-year-old people that live here in the United States would be speaking up and saying, yes, absolutely, he's a Hitler-esque tyrant, or no, he's not. But you don't hear anything about that from any of these people.
No, and it's the radical left elements of the Democrat Party that are the most anti-Semitic and the most like Hitler, in my opinion. Plus, you can go look at the crowd at his Madison Square Garden rally. There was a lot of they said it was a Nazi rally. Well, there was a lot of Jewish Nazis in the crowd. It's weird.
Absolutely, yes, you're absolutely right. Now, Hitler was a terrible man. I mean, everybody knows that. Trump is nowhere near Hitler. I'm sorry. I don't care what the left says, left or loons.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. It's just, but listen, Trump can't say that Liz Cheney wouldn't make the same decisions if she had to go fight in that war. That's violent rhetoric. Calling him Hitler and a fascist and a dictator is not violent rhetoric. These people are unhinged, unglued. Absolutely unglued. During that town hall style event with Tucker and RFK Jr., listen, Liz Cheney wasn't the only war hawk he went after. He also went after John Bolton, and in this clip, he goes hard on Bolton.
But I said, don't go in. They went in. It was such a bad decision. So Bolton, see again, you get back. Bolton, a real dope. But I thought he'd be great. Because he was so stupid. He was like a boiler. Every time, if somebody shot down a little tiny crappy drone that cost about $15, he'd want to go to war with Russia. I said, no, I think he was great for me, though, for a period of time, because he was a nut job, and everybody, I could see his face get red with that stupid white mustache, and he'd be ready to explode. And this was good for me. I went to Kim Jong-un in North Korea. I took this moron with me, and he never said anything. But when Kim Jong-un saw him, he said, "Oh shit, I think the guy wants to go to war." So he was great for me to negotiate with. The same thing with Russia. You know, when Putin saw him, I'd be very nice. I'd say, "Hi, Vladimir, how you doing?" And then Putin's, 2 rows back, and it'd see that moron, and it'd say, "Holy shit, this guy wants to go to war with me." And I got a lot of what I wanted. We killed, as you know, the Nord Stream 2. I killed.
So if you're listening on the stream, you heard the expletives as he talked about John Bolton. Is this one of those days that we're gonna have? My bad. I apologize. Talking about John Bolton and how he's like, listen, the guy was a radical war hawk, but for a period of time, it was nice to have him behind me because he scared the dictators that I was talking to. But listen, he's equal opportunity anti-war hawk. I don't see anybody on CNN being upset about his comments about John Bolton, though. It's just the Liz Cheney. They got that 11-second clip, and they're going to use it as much as they possibly can between now and Tuesday. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years. I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. And I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to, if you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing, you had that tie on.
Oh wow! Wow!
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
Crashes. 65 southbound off-ramp to eastbound 24 north of downtown. The off-ramp right lane blocked. 24 eastbound past Joe B. Jackson Parkway in Murfreesboro. This is some police activity. The right shoulder is blocked. That's a 22-minute delay. The Daniel Penny trial gets underway in New York City today. We'll take a look coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. There's only a few things guaranteed in this country: death, taxes, and Kamala Harris being interrupted at her rallies by Palestinian protesters. It happened again yesterday. Kamala, she can't catch a break. I said this earlier this morning on the Gang of Amigos. I said, when's the last time a protester interrupted a Trump rally? So I can't remember. I can't remember one. And then quite a few people texted in and said, well, that was July 13th. So, ooh, all right. Yeah, good call. Good call.
Oh,
that was the last one. But Kamala seems to have protesters interrupting her everywhere she goes. I'll bring you this rally and this interruption and her attempt to recover when we get back. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and coming up in 5 minutes. In New York today, it's the start of the manslaughter trial for Daniel Penny, the Marine veteran who put a man who was threatening others on a subway train into a chokehold.
Prosecutors say Neely was no longer a threat after 3 minutes. He stopped moving after 5. Neely had a history of mental illness. Police say he was acting erratically and making threats on the train, but was unarmed and never physically violent. Prosecutors concede Neely may have seemed scary, but they're out to convince the jury Penny held him down too long. The defense says Neely was insanely threatening, and Penny took action to protect the lives of others. The case sparked protests about racial dynamics, subway safety, and mental health.
That's ABC's Aaron Katursky. The jobs report for October coming in much weaker than expected this morning.
Just 12,000 jobs were created in the month of October. That's below where expectations were. And there were really three major events that put a dent in the numbers. First of all, Hurricanes Helene and Milton, and then the strike at Boeing. Manufacturing jobs, for example, those fell by 46,000 in the month of October.
Yeah, digging deeper into the numbers, we find that the Labor Department revised sharply downward the last 2 months, too, trimming 112,000 jobs in total. Here in Middle Tennessee, a bus problem has some local parents scrambling.
Some Wilson County parents say they're frustrated over constant school bus cancellations.
If I didn't drive her, my daughter would be missing multiple days of school every single week, which I can't imagine she would be able to pass.
Erica Case telling Channel 4 the school bus doesn't come at least 3 times a week. Many other parents say the same thing happens to their families. Well, Wilson County Schools says they just don't have enough substitute drivers. Bart Barker of Wilson County Schools says that when one person calls out sick or takes vacation, there's no one available to replace them.
If we had an extra 5 to 10 drivers come aboard with us, it would make all the difference in the world.
Wilson County has increased bus driver pay and added benefits, but for now, the schools are asking parents to have a backup plan ready for their kids. Joan Jones, WTN News.
A special concert being held this weekend to benefit Hurricane Helene victims in East Tennessee and North Carolina, happening at the Listening Room Cafe Sunday at 6. Performers like Kobe Kylant, Phil Barton, Chrissy Metz from This Is Us will take the stage. All the money raised goes to Beacon Rescue, which is a nonprofit helping people to recover and rebuild. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We got a wild party happening for you. November 5th, Wilson County Fairgrounds, our election night watch party. We want you there. It's free to attend. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his whole show up there live. Myself, Mandis Murphy, we're going to be jumping on the air with him at 6 o'clock. We're going to be bringing in all the results with you in real time while we share drinks and food and fun. And we're looking forward to it. So please join us at the Wilson County Fairgrounds on election night. Super Talk. Oh, what
I was going to say, it's going to be big hype.
Yeah, big hype. 997WTN.com for more info. We're looking forward to seeing you guys there. We got 4 days left till this election. The left is not stopping. They are unhinged, completely unhinged. And I'm not actually. I wasn't talking about the Democrats. I meant the radical portions of the left. Kamala just can't get through a speech, man. She can't get through a speech at all. She was at a rally. And the only things I'm telling you that are guaranteed in this life are Kamala, or it's death, taxes, and Kamala being interrupted at her rallies. That's all you got. That's all you got. And she got interrupted last night, and it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. She gets interrupted by these radical leftist protesters, and she completely loses her train of thought.
90 days.
It completely loses it. She's looking left. She's looking right. She's trying to steam through it. She's trying her hardest, her damnedest to just make something out of nothing. But you can see that she's visibly rattled. You can see it on her face. She's shaken up. And I don't know how she's so shaken up. Like, this happens at every rally she has. Every rally she has.
Says, you know what? Let me say something about this. We're here because we're fighting for a democracy.
She's so angry, too. I mean, do you hear her? I know you can't see her face, but she looks visibly pissed.
We're here because we're fighting for a democracy.
Anger just written all over her face.
Fighting for a democracy. And understand the difference here.
This is where she
understand the difference.
She loses
here.
track.
Moving forward. Understand the difference here. What we are looking at is a difference in this election. Let's move forward and see where we are. Because on the issue, for example, of freedom of choice.
I mean, she's getting interrupted. She tries to go into abortion. She repeats herself a couple times. Understand the difference here. Moving forward. There's a difference. What we're looking at is a difference. We're going to move forward. And she's tripping all over herself.
That's all right. That's all right. That's okay. Says, you know what?
She says that's okay, but her face tells a different story. Her body language tells a different story. She's rattled. And when she's not being interrupted, she doesn't do much better. She doesn't do much better. She tries to go off script here and kind of illustrates why she's not supposed to go off script.
And in less than 90 days, either he or I will be sitting in the Oval Office. Here's what we can imagine, right? We've all seen on TV, you've seen the Oval Office, but here's the thing. We have to get the word out to help people even just visually imagine what that day will be.
Oh, I've imagined that day. I've imagined. I can visually see what it will be. I can visually see it. I can. I've been imagining this for about 3.5 years. I'll be honest with you. I've been imagining it. Kamala's rallies are much different than Trump's rallies. Much different. Trump is on point, on message constantly.
The reason Kamala's campaign has been reduced to this desperate, pathetic stream of hoaxes and lies is simple. The entire world can see she's a train wreck who is totally unqualified to be the president of the United States. She's totally unqualified.
He's right. Everybody can see she's a train wreck. She can't even deal with protesters that she deals with constantly. She can't go off script. She can't do anything without a teleprompter. She tried to do an interview with MSNBC, and she could barely get through that. She's it looks like she's standing in a back room with this MSNBC reporter, and she's just being asked not hard questions, just regular questions, and it seems like she doesn't know what to say, and I don't know how she doesn't know what to say at this point. I mean, just
beginning stages of your campaign. Since the beginning stages of your campaign, you've described yourself as an underdog. That language is gone from your speech now. Has something changed in how you're feeling?
No, listen, I am putting it all on the field, and it's going to be a very tight race.
Have you noticed like an uptick in sports references? That's because they're worried about the male vote.
And I'm running like the underdog, because we are. Donald Trump's been running for the last decade. I've been in this race about 3.5 months, and the stakes are so high. But I've been saying for quite some time, regardless of what the polls say, we are going to win. I do believe that.
Do you think she actually believes that when you hear her say that? It seems to me that she has a lot of doubt, and it seems to me that she's building in excuses. Listen, I've only been running for 3.5 months. Trump's been running for almost a decade.
The last decade. I've been in this race about 3.5 months, and the stakes are so high. But I've been saying for quite some time, regardless of what the polls say, we are going to win. I do believe that, because I do believe that this is a choice about two very different directions for our country. And the choice being offered by Donald Trump is about going backward, about a constant emphasis on degrading the American people and our capacity, versus a track that is about bringing the country together, knowing we have more in common than what separates us, and we should have a plan, which I do, to actually get things done.
Well, if you have a plan to get things done, why haven't you done it? You want to bring people together. I mean, it would behoove you then to not label your opponent as an evil, fascist, dictator, Nazi, literally Hitler, racist, transphobe, bigot, homophobe, xenophobe. Did I leave out any phobes? I'm sure I left out one of the phobes. Well, fill in the blank, phobe. You know, he's just an evil guy. He's an evil guy. But let's focus on unity. Then she gets a softball question. I think this is a softball question, but it's also just like so cringy during this MSDNC interview. Kamala, what keeps you up at night?
Former First Lady Michelle Obama says she stays up at night wondering why this election is so close. Do you do that? What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night are the challenges that face the American family, and my role and responsibility in my to-do list to address those issues.
You've had 3.5 years. You've had 3.5 years to address the issues. My to-do list keeps me up at night. Yeah, because you haven't done anything on your to-do list. We're waiting. We're still waiting. And in the meantime, we get called all sorts of things. We're Nazis. We're racists. We're bigots. We're literally garbage. Well, how could you support Donald J. Trump while the other side's calling us garbage?
Kamala and Joe call them all garbage. Those people are called garbage. They're us. Everybody's us. I think 250 million people are us. And I call you the heart and soul of America. That's how you're the people that built America.
I mean, that's the difference between the two candidates, right? You have one demonizing their opponent and their supporters, and then you got Trump saying, listen, let's get this country right back on track. The garbage comments aren't going anywhere either. They're going to try and deflect from a couple of things that they got to deal with, including the jobs report, but also these garbage comments and the Mark Cuban comments. And they're going to say, well, Trump wants Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. It's because they know how damaging those comments from Biden and Cuban have been.
Joe Biden's comments were the direct result of Kamala's decision to portray everyone who isn't voting for her as an evil and even subhuman person. And we know it's what they believe, because look at how they've treated you. They do treat you like garbage. They really do. For the last 9 years, Kamala and her party have called us racists, bigots, fascists, deplorables, irredeemables, even Nazis. And they called me Hitler.
Yeah. Wait. Why isn't the newest hoax sticking? Well, because we've seen this over and over and over again. Matt in Fairview, you're up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Matt?
And Chris Hand, you rock, buddy. I got to tell you that.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
You got it. Listen, we can't lose. We can't lose the fact that there's a Marine on trial in New York City for defending Americans, and then there's an illegal immigrant getting taxpayer-funded benefits, such as a defender, on trial for killing Americans in Georgia. You know, this is just whoa.
Yeah,
it's wrong.
Well, and it's wrong on so many levels. I mean, the fact of the matter is he shouldn't have been put in a position to have to take out the homeless guy anyway. There should have been, security and police. There should have been people there willing to help. There weren't. And it's because we've been demonizing police in this country for so long. There's so many levels to it. But to your point, an illegal alien can get a lawyer. It's like, do you know that there are DHS-funded billboards down near the border advocating for free legal services for illegal aliens?
Don't shock me.
That's what we're paying for. Our tax dollars are paying for it.
It doesn't shock me, bud. It doesn't shock me. It's so backwards. It's got to change.
Yep.
Keep on, bud. Keep on. Thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate you calling in. Yeah, the billboards down at the southern border are wild. Trump posted this on Twitter. Kamala is now running billboards near the border advertising free legal services for illegal alien criminals. When I win, the billboards are coming down and the migrant gangs are going home. Border Patrol posted this as well. It said, this DHS billboard, which was supported by Border Czar Harris, will only encourage and incentivize illegal immigration and the abuse of the asylum system to continue. And it says, your brother in immigration custody has rights. That's your taxpayer dollars on a couple different levels. Your taxpayer dollars are going to pay for that lawyer. Your taxpayer dollars are going to pay for that billboard. Your taxpayer dollars are going to pay for the food, the cell phone, the hotel. Ridiculous. But, Daniel Penny, hey, you're on your own, pal. You're on your own. We let a city descend into chaos, and you had to pick up the pieces, and you're on your own. You're on your own. Melissa in Lebanon, you're next on Super Talk. What do you want to talk about, Melissa?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. What's up?
I want to talk about the jobs numbers, that jobs report that come out.
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly were the government jobs that were added? Does anybody know? I'm having a hard time finding it.
I mean,
what I'm seeing is this trend. Like healthcare and government go up all the time, but private industry goes down every time these reports come out. What are these jobs being added? Is it IRS agents?
Well, that's where my head goes. It has to be IRS agents, right? But I mean, private sector jobs were at negative 28,000. Negative. They wanted to add 90,000.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah, we're talking 118,000 difference.
Yeah.
But so I mean, professional business is down, temporary help is down, manufacturing, transportation, all of these jobs that affect all of us. But government's way up.
Well, Melissa, I wouldn't stress. I've heard Kamala has a plan to fix it on day one.
Yeah. I put so much stock in that.
I appreciate your call, Melissa. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, the job numbers are terrible.
Well, when you factor in these job revisions, which were down over the last 2 months by roughly 110,000, what it should say on the screen, it says 12K jobs added in October. That's true, but what this means is that we have 100,000 fewer jobs than we thought we had. That's a really bad number. When you're looking at a situation, to add to what John Lasky was talking about, where we are running nearly $2 trillion deficits, and the government is the fastest growing sector of our economy, we've got something structurally really wrong with this economy. We cannot continue down this path. There is no plan out of the Kamala Harris plan. I've looked at her plan. There's no plan to cut government spending. They keep adding more and more workers, and I'm sorry, we're growing the economy in all the wrong places. And by the way, I'd love to hear what the numbers were for construction, manufacturing, business services, the things where people actually make things in the economy, because those are not growing at all. This is the worst jobs number we've had, Maria, in 3 years.
Worst jobs numbers since December of 2020 is one of the stats that I saw. Not a good look. Not a good look as you're trying to win this election to turn the page, right? That's what they want to do. They want to turn the page. Yeah, the majority of Americans want to turn the page as well. Was it close to 80% of the country thinks we're not headed in the right direction? I don't see these job numbers helping that. And I definitely don't see these job numbers helping Kamala Harris when we see her next Tuesday, November 5th. Can't wait. Couple more days, guys. Keep your foot on the gas. Don't get complacent. What did Steve Bannon say? Our biggest enemy is the couch. Don't get lazy. Make some phone calls. It's 11:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Got a crash north of downtown. It is blocking the off-ramp right lane from 65 southbound to eastbound 24. Then in Rutherford County, police activity blocking the right shoulder. This is 24 eastbound just past Joe B. Jackson Parkway. A community is in mourning after a deadly crash this morning between a semi and a car with teenagers in it. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. So the jobs report came out. 12,000 jobs created last month. Far fewer than the 100K that these economists expected. I wonder if these are the same economists that say Kamala's economy would be better than Trump. You know, that would track. That would track.
Jobs report, and the prophecy came true. Jobs light, 12,000 in non-farm payroll. That is the lightest going back to December of 2020.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look for Kamala Harris. Not a good look for the Democrats. But I think we should put it into context, okay? Can we put it into context? The final jobs report before the election in 2020, it was viewed as bad, okay? And the news treated it as such for Trump. The final jobs report before the 2020 election showed that 661,000 positions were added. And that was viewed as bad for Trump. Get ready for the media to ignore this jobs report at all costs. Again, in 2020, the media treated 661,000 new jobs as bad news for Trump. Yet today, the final jobs report before the election shows just 12,000 added. Insanity. How can they rationalize that Kamala is going to be good for the economy? How? The jobs added were government jobs. The numbers are terrible. Even CNN admits that the numbers are terrible. Absolutely horrific.
It's a massive drop, of course, from what we saw in September. That number was also revised lower, down to 223,000 jobs. In fact, what we lost was over 110,000 jobs over August and September.
We lost 110,000 jobs over August and September. Don't worry, guys. Kamala's got a plan on day one. Listen, that's what she's been telling us. We got to just trust her, right? We got to trust. No. We have to keep our foot on the gas. We have to call everyone we know. We have to make sure that this news gets out, and you're sharing it across all of your social platforms. We'll do the exact same. I'm going to share this stuff as well. We need to make this case that Kamala cannot be in control of this economy. We have to. As Trump said last night at a rally, this is not a charity event. All right, we're hiring somebody for the biggest job and the most important job in the world.
This is not a charity event. This is an election for the biggest and most important job in history. There's no participation trophy for incompetent candidates. Do you want to lose your life savings because we put a weak and foolish person in the White House? That's going to happen. If that happens, it's going to happen. Do you want to lose your job or maybe your house or pension because Kamala has the economic understanding of a child? She's a child. Do you ever hear her talk about the economic situation? Oh, me. It's crazy. She shouldn't be here. The presidency is a job held by Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Dwight Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan. And people of strength and high intelligence. Would you trust Kamala to talk to Russia or China about nuclear war?
I wouldn't trust Kamala to walk my dog. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We have the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, the court hearing for accused Antioch Greenway killer Paul Park is being pushed off until Tuesday, November 5th. Park is charged with criminal homicide in the shooting death of Alyssa Lockett, who was out for a jog on the Mill Creek Greenway when she was attacked and killed. Police say they have surveillance video showing Park following Lockett's from the parking lot. Officers later found her body in the woods. A community is in mourning after a deadly crash in Warren County involving a car and a semi. Here's Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac.
Well, this is a devastating situation. I just talked to people at Gath Baptist Church in McMinnville, and they tell me that 16-year-old Abigail Jones is the teen who died in Wednesday morning's crash. Now, her sister Gabby, she was also in the car with her, and church members told me that Gabby was airlifted to the hospital after the accident. She suffered a punctured lung but has since been released from the hospital. Abby actually worked at Fazoli's in McMinnville, and they are having a prayer vigil for her tomorrow morning that starts at 8:30. And her church is also providing meals and help for the family. They say if anyone wants to help out the Jones family, you can call or email the Gath Baptist Church office.
A special concert being held this weekend to benefit Hurricane Helene victims in East Tennessee and North Carolina, happening at the Listening Room Cafe Sunday at 6. Performers like Colby Calais, Phil Barton, Chrissy Metz from This Is Us will take the stage. All the money raised will go to Beacon Rescue, which is a nonprofit helping people to recover and rebuild. Meanwhile, the death toll in Spain, more than 200 now from flash floods across from the east and south, and now more rain in the forecast there. We get details from Patrick Revel at the Foreign Desk.
Spain's State Weather Service has issued warnings across several regions in southern Spain, including for Valencia, as well as 3 other regions. There is already reports of torrential rain falling since midnight in the southern region of Huelva, where apparently around 2 months' worth of rain has already fallen in less than 24 hours.
This is the deadliest natural disaster in modern Spanish history. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 11:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 4 days away from the biggest election in history. We want Donald J. Trump to win. I know you feel the same. We want to watch the election results roll in with you. At the Wilson County Fairgrounds for our election night watch party. Listen, the Glock store, they know a thing or two about parties. Whether you want to throw a birthday party, retirement celebration, or, just to get together with some friends, you should do it at the Glock store because they'll give you a VIP room, they'll give you a shooting room, an instructor, all the ammo. They'll set you up for the perfect party. And since they're so good at this, we said, guys, you should come to our election night watch party. And they said, okay. We'll come and we'll bring some prizes. And the prizes that they're bringing are fantastic. 3rd place, tactical rehydration mugs. 2nd place, some range, some Shoot 270 room, private sessions for training with a private instructor. And then 1st place, it's this beautiful, custom, laser engraved Trump Take America Back Glock. All you have to do to win these prizes is show up on election night at the Wilson County Fairgrounds for our party. Go by the Glock store table, sign up to win. It's that simple. And if you want to get a party going at the Glock store, all you got to do is hit the website, glockstore.com. They're minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
11:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. The media is very much focused on Donald Trump threatening to put Liz Cheney in a firing squad. That's what we've seen all morning. Much less focused on the comments from Mark Cuban yesterday, who said Trump doesn't put any strong, intelligent women around him. It's wild, man. It's wild. You have to force the media to cover the truth. Murphy said it yesterday. My wife is like, man, that was such a good line. Said, Trump forced him to talk about the garbage statement because he showed up in a garbage truck. He forced them. I think it's going to be tough to force the media to cover these Mark Cuban comments. And if you missed it, this is Mark Cuban yesterday on The View, talking about Donald Trump and the women that he puts around him. Not being smart, not being strong.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
It's that simple. Never mind the fact that, he had Kayleigh McEnany around him. He had Sarah Huckabee Sanders around him. He has Tulsi Gabbard around him. He's got women that support him like Riley Gaines, Alveda King. I mean, you can go down the list. I don't know how you force the media to cover this one. I'm not sure. You're not going to be able to use the same strategy of showing up in a garbage truck. There's been a lot of people responding to it. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was one of them, saying, no, this is just a trash take. It's a trash take. And maybe if this can kind of break through that mainstream media echo chamber and gain traction online, people will see it and people will get pissed. A lot of women are voting for Trump not because of the people around him, but because of what he represents and the strength that he's bringing, and the border and the economy and national security. In fact, one undecided Wisconsin voter told CNN just that. I'm not voting for the personality. I'm voting for the policy.
Summer, her frustrations were clear.
Both parties have their extreme side, and no one's in the middle.
From her vantage point in the critical suburbs of Milwaukee, no longer dominated by Republicans alone, she said issues are driving her decision.
I'm going to vote for Trump. When he talks in the big arena, sometimes I'm like, I wish he would tone down his rhetoric and everything. But at the end of the day, I want a person that's going to fix the economy, border, and then national security.
Yeah, I mean, that's what women care about, right? I would imagine that's what a majority of women care about. They want to be able to go for a jog or take their kids to a playground. But hey, I'm sure these comments from Mark Cuban don't bother them at all. It didn't sit well with J.D. Vance.
Well, first of all, it's insulting my wife, who's a very strong and very intelligent woman and goes to nearly every one of my campaign events with me. And it's insulting to Laura Trump, who's done an incredible job as co-chair of the RNC. It's insulting to Melania, who has the #1 New York Times best-selling book right now. It's insulting to everybody who thinks that our politics should be about public policy that makes people's lives better instead of attacking your fellow citizens. Whether it's Mark Cuban or Kamala Harris or, Joe Biden, why are these people so preoccupied with denigrating and insulting and condescending their fellow citizens? If you are pissed off that Kamala Harris opened the border, you have every right. If you're frustrated that Kamala Harris's policies have made it impossible for you to afford the price of a home, you have every right. Why are they so preoccupied with censoring, silencing, and attacking their fellow citizens? I've never seen anything like it. And the only opportunity, really, that we get to reject this, to tell Kamala Harris that we don't accept it when her boss calls us garbage, is to get out there and vote for Donald J. Trump. And we've only got 5 days to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Tuesday is not going to be here soon enough. Kamala, we will see you next Tuesday. But listen, this story is going to be hard to get out there. It's going to be hard for people to hear what Mark Cuban said because the media is not going to cover it. They're not going to play this every hour on CNN.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple.
You're not going to hear that anywhere. What you're going to hear today on the mainstream media is that Donald Trump wants to execute Liz Cheney.
I don't think you even need to call it fired upon. He's saying quite explicitly and unambiguously that Liz Cheney should be shot, should be executed by firing squad.
4 days out from Election Day, and former President Donald Trump is escalating his violent rhetoric, suggesting one of his most prominent critics, the former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, should be fired upon.
Your reaction to what Donald Trump said about Liz Cheney?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it was completely inappropriate, dangerous, and unbecoming of a leader. Mr. Trump was literally going after someone who doesn't agree with him. So it shouldn't be a surprise when people come on TV and feel the need to agree with him.
So they're going to say that Trump wants to have Liz Cheney executed. You're not going to hear the Mark Cuban comments today on ABC, CBS, NBC. You are going to hear the Liz Cheney stuff, guaranteed. Guaranteed. And it's important to point out that the losers on the left took a much longer clip about how Trump is explaining that these war hawks wouldn't make the same decision if it was them going into battle, and they've shortened it down to 11 seconds. But there's a minute and a half version of this clip that provides the correct context.
And Cheney was he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people. So whether it's her, whether it's Dick, I was surprised a little bit with Dick Cheney. I didn't know him at all. I only had essentially the 1 or 2 phone calls, and it was only a call saying, thank you very much for doing that for Scooter Libby. That was nice. And Scooter Libby, by the way, was beyond that. He couldn't believe that it happened. Nobody.
So you understand, with the proper context, you know exactly what Trump is saying. But the media is going to leave out the proper context that Liz Cheney wants to send your sons and daughters to war because she's sitting comfy in Washington, D.C.
9 barrels. When he says 9 barrels shooting at her, that obviously evokes images of a firing squad. It evokes images of an execution.
Let's execute a political opponent who happens to be a woman because I don't like her. And, does that pull more low propensity voters in his coalition to the polls? I honestly don't think so.
I don't think that you can dislike the mainstream media enough. We're 4 days out from a massive election. We get a jobs report number that is disastrous. They're not going to cover that. We get another insult from a top surrogate from the Kamala Harris campaign, Mark Cuban, saying Donald Trump doesn't have any strong, intelligent women around him. They're not going to cover that. What they're going to do is they're going to take this clip out of context and play you 11 seconds and then talk about how evil Donald Trump is, that he wants to execute his political enemies, which is not what was said. We are up against an evil, evil machine. And we have to do everything we can, every single one of us, to make sure that come Tuesday, we win this election. We need to win this election. Honestly, it can't be said enough. Our biggest enemy is the couch, a la Steve Bannon. And it's important to point out the left talks about assassinating their political opponents all the time. There's a clip going around right now, going viral. Kamala back in the day on Ellen, fantasizing about assassinating Trump.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. No big deal. It's only an issue when Trump says it, right? It's only an issue when we can really take a clip out of context and weaponize it against Donald J. Trump. That's when it matters. That's when it matters most. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're going to check in with Murphy next, see what's happening today on The Murphy Show on Super Talk.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to, if you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing, you had that tie on.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, come on, April 1st.
11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Matt Murphy in studio. What's up, Matt?
What's up, everybody? How's it going? How was your Halloween?
It was good. It was good. It was.
Yeah.
I said it was the first time my wife and I had done a couple's costume. Except I did it with you first.
The old I bet her trash bag was littler than my trash bag. Hers was probably a kitchen garbage bag. Mine was an industrial,
much smaller,
hefty bag. Right?
She looked cuter in it too.
I went as a I went as a Kamala Harris voter last night. I don't know if you saw the photos. I was a member of the MS-13 gang.
Oh, jeez. Did you do face tattoos?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I had a mask on. Machete, as they do.
Love it.
Alabama Department of Corrections jumpsuit on because I was in the joint for a hot minute. Got out of that. They released me to ICE, and you know what happens after that?
Yep.
I get delivered to Sylacauga, Alabama, where I can just roam freely and eat cats.
It's like you just walk around with a new cell phone and a machete.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And an I voted sticker. I voted for her. I stand with her.
Oh,
anyway, my buddy Grant went as Dark Elon. I absolutely love it. I was violating a commandment because he has a dark MAGA hat.
Yeah.
The Make America Great Again. And I was like, I'm standing here coveting. I'm coveting as we speak. And he's like, I can get you one. I like his Occupy Mars shirt on.
I almost went for the dark MAGA with the gold letters last night, but I know, and I was like, I gotta have some self-control.
Well, why? I mean,
I have so many of these hats at this point.
I know.
I'm like, I don't know if I should do it. How do I break this one to the wife when she goes, hey, what was this $47 donation for? I'd be like, well, what do you mean?
I don't. You got to give to causes that you believe in, dear. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, you and I were talking during the break, and I'm so ready. I'm so ready for Tuesday to be here. I'm getting to the incredibly nervous stage of these goings on because, I mean, like you said it, that I'm fearful that they have had enough advance warning about what is going to go down on Tuesday that they are setting up systems to improve or benefit their chances. That's my nice way of saying cheat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's that. Everybody says, well, how do you feel about the election? I said, well, I feel really good, except for one thing.
Cheating.
That's it.
Cheating. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, did you see? No, you didn't see. You haven't seen. Maybe you've heard about the jobs report today because we actually report the news on Super Talk. But I promise you haven't seen it on CNN.
No, they've been talking about Liz Cheney.
No, that's all they want to talk about is Liz Cheney. The daughter of a man that liberals publicly called to execute in the 1990s and 2000s, but whatever.
So my friend Aaron sent me this on Twitter, and it was the perfect timing. They announced 12,000 jobs today. This is the last 12,000.
12,000.
And they're all government jobs, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
And there was a report, the last jobs report before the 2020 election the narrative was like, wow, this is really bad for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many jobs he added in that last jobs report in 2020?
I do not.
661,000.
Oh, imagine that.
And that was, whoa, buddy, that's not a good look right before the election.
I mean, that's bad news, bud.
And we got 12,000 today.
And no one will. And as you note, all government jobs, meaning that for the first time since the midst of the pandemic, and the pandemic kind of screws up these numbers. I don't know how far you go back before then. For the first time, you had a negative jobs report in the private sector.
Yeah.
Since
December of 2020.
December of 2020, in the midst of the pandemic. Negative jobs report in the private sector. And she wants to claim that there's nothing that she would have done differently over the last 3.5 years? What are you talking about? What are you even talking about?
She's saving it for day one.
Oh, that's right. She could do it now. She's got this grand economic plan to stop price gouging.
Their mid-page turn.
It's all about price gouging, Hand.
You can't read the next page until you turn the page.
That's right. Come on, buddy. Keep up.
Keep up.
You got Tim over there, Tim Walz. He's turned the page.
Tim Walz has to be the worst vice presidential pick of all time. I thought
Tim Kaine was pretty bad.
No, Tim Kaine looks like a scholar compared to Walz.
Oh, Tim Kaine, that bigoted, awful human being that signed the voting integrity law in Virginia that the liberals now want to destroy so that they can have illegal. That guy?
That one.
Yeah, he's sane.
Yeah.
I mean, liberals from like 10 years ago. I mean, where's Joe Lieberman? I know he's passed away, but where's Joe Lieberman when you need him?
You can go to videos from like 2017, and Kamala Harris will be like, you can hack those voting machines. It's like, whoa, Kamala was based. What happened? Jerry Nadler will be like, I don't trust any of these voting machines. They're all connected to the internet. It's like, thanks, Nads.
Video after video of Hillary calling the election swiped and stolen and controlled by Russian assets and foreign agents. Oh yeah. And no, I'm not. No, of course he stole the election. He's an illegitimate president.
And how dare he question the integrity of our elections?
Man, oh man, I cannot wait till Tuesday.
What do you got coming up on the show today?
I mean, obviously we're talking Liz Cheney and the nonsensical firing squad narrative that the media is creating. We'll talk a little about Mark Cuban. I know you've been doing that. Cameron Smith at 2 o'clock, a little Fry J at 1 o'clock. We got a lot going on.
Big hype. Murphy's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.